Friends, what I'm about to share with you right now is truly revolutionary. And what we are discovering and what I'm about to share with you may very well completely change your life. This may very well be the reason that you have not been able to lose the weight that you want. You know, I've been working with clients at TiFit here for over a year and a half, and client after client after client, hundreds of clients. Like I've seen distinct patterns, right, in things and people that people that aren't able to lose weight. I've seen patterns, right, in certain symptoms and causes. And what's really, really remarkable is based on what we're doing in TiFit now, the people that were really struggling to lose weight are dropping and melting fat like fucking butter. It is remarkable. So everybody has known that one person, right, that's got all these random health issues, you know, from random pain, constantly sick, food allergies, seasonal allergies, sinus infections, whatever. They just have a host of problems. They never feel good, always have low energy, always dealing with something like headaches, and they go to doctor after doctor after doctor. And what does the doctor tell them? Well, you're a hypochondriac, right? There's nothing wrong with you. And it's because doctors aren't educated in a manner to actually discover these problems that are going on with today's medication and diet. So 10 times out of 10, when you know somebody that has symptoms and conditions like that, the root cause is poor gut health, right? And we're gonna dig deep into gut health, how it relates to losing weight, how it relates to ultimate human health, and even brain performance, right? We're finding out that there's a small little brain in our gut, and that's what we have, our gut instinct, right? So whenever you have a feeling over, that's actually a real thing. It is a very real thing. And what we're finding out is that our gut health relates to all of our health, not even physical health, but emotional and mental health too. So if your gut has gone south and you have poor gut health, you won't be able to lose weight, and a host of problems are going to be created. So your body is a factory, right? It has lungs, kidneys, livers, organs, different organs. And this is the machinery. This is the machinery that you house, right? And this is how we operate and how we work, right? From things like extracting blood, extracting oxygen, filtering blood, removing toxicity. All these are processes that are not automated in the body. So how do these processes work? Right? How do these processes work? Well, we have, we have what's called gut bacteria. And the species of gut bacteria that live in our gut is referred to as a microbiome. We have different types of bacteria, right? So we have microbes, which are the good bacteria, right? The ones that help us get a lot of the functions that we have in the body, help us get a lot of that stuff done. And then we have pathogens. So pathogens are single-celled bad bacteria. Now, the start of all disease, infection, sickness, even the flu, it starts from a single-cell pathogen. And it bypasses the immune system. And when it bypasses the immune system, it grows and develops into a disease or an infection. Okay? So we talked about all these different things that we have in our body, from the machinery and everything, and all these complex tasks that we have that keep us alive, right? And how does this stuff work, right? How do we actually process this stuff in the body? How does digestion actually happen, right? How do these things happen? Well, our microbes are actually the controllers of our body. It is your gut bacteria that is creating all the function that is happening in your body. So our microbes do a ton of stuff, right? Absolutely a ton of stuff. They convert sugars into fatty chains, right, for energy. So they allow, our microbes actually convert the sugar that we consume, turn them into fatty chains for cellular and actual energy, right? They crowd out pathogens. So the microbes, the good bacteria, actually crowds out the bad bacteria, kills it, and helps your immune system fight it off. It helps your body absorb nutrients. So based on the type of microbiome you have, you may or may not absorb the proper nutrients. You could be eating the most nutritious diet in the world, but if your microbiome isn't set up to break down and absorb those things, your body literally will not get any of the nutrition that you are eating. Your microbes keep your pH balanced. So the average pH is somewhere around 7.3 and 7.34 in the average human body. And what happens when our pH comes out of balance, right? So we eat acidic foods, something like this, and it goes out of balance. It has to come back to homeostasis. So it looks for a base substance in the body. The only base substance that you have is the calcium carbonate in your bones, i.e., if you have an unhealthy microbiome and your pH is unbalanced, you're going to have an unbalanced pH. It's going to have to come back to balance with the calcium from your bones, and so you're extracting calcium from your bones, leading to things like osteoporosis, degenerative arthritis, degenerative disc disease, and rheumatoid arthritis conditions with the bones like this. So I hope you guys are starting to get the picture. This is why all these random problems are happening, right? So we have this this gut and this gut bacteria and this microbiome, but when it's out of alignment or when it's out of whack, all these problems start to happen from this one issue. So it's very, very important to keep your pH balanced. Your microbes also maintain the integrity of your gut lining. That's what keeps your stool in your digestive tract. That's what allows shit not to literally float throughout your whole body. It metabolizes drugs, right? And it also modulates genes, and changes our gene expression, basically turning on genes that we need at the time and turning off genes that we don't. This is truly remarkable because forever we thought hormones were the controllers of our body. It turns out our microbiome is controlling our hormones, right? And so this also synthesizes vitamins. Our microbes synthesize vitamins, nutrients, and synthesize hormones that our body cannot make on our own. We need these things to function and live a high quality of life, but our body cannot make them. And without the proper microbes, we're going to become deficient in these things. And we are going to have a whole host of problems. So they also produce digestive enzymes. They also neutralize and kill cancer-causing compounds. This stuff is remarkable, my friends. And I'll even get in, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but a lot of women have thyroid conditions, and that's why they're not able to lose weight. Well, we're actually finding that thyroid conditions stem from poor gut health, and so your microbes got out of whack, and then you got a thyroid condition. Now you can't lose weight. It's a wonderful little thing. So we've kind of gone in to what our microbes do, and we have this machinery. Our microbes operate this machinery. They create these functions in the body, right? They distinguish between friend and foe. So they help our immune system decide what our immune system is going to spend time and energy crowding out the bad bacteria versus the good bacteria, the colonizations of good bacteria that pose no threat. Who decides what gets attacked and what gets kept? Who decides what nutrients gets absorbed? Who decides this stuff? It's our microbes that do. So they produce substances that our body requires but can't make. We've already talked about that. They fight our battles for us. There are our body's worker bees. They even turn genes on and off. So they do all this stuff in our body, right? Including, and we'll get into this, your ability to lose fat. Your microbes control that. So if your microbes are out of whack, no matter what diet you're going on, no matter what exercise plan you're going on, you are not going to be able to drop the pounds that you want. And I know that you're sitting here just scratching your head right now like, he was right. I've tried everything that worked for everybody else, and I still have not been able to lose weight. This is why, you guys, I've helped people overcome 20 to 25 different problems that weren't even related, all by fixing the gut, right? And so I have dedicated myself to this research because I know how important it is, not only ultimate human health, performance, but also leanness and weight loss. And thank you for allowing me to use notes. I want to make sure that I get all this information clear and correct for you. So we have all these conditions and all these problems, right? And we kind of went into what microbes do and everything like that. Well, what I'm about to talk about right now, over 30 million Americans have. Okay, it is the most misdiagnosed disease out there. right? This is what you have when the doctors don't know what's wrong because they are not trained to look for it. It is a huge problem, and it is called gut dysbiosis. Now, dysbiosis has a ton of causes and symptoms, and we're going to go into that right now so that you can get a better understanding if you actually suffer from gut dysbiosis. Skin conditions, acne, eczema, rosacea, all from poor gut health, all from gut dysbiosis, all symptoms of gut dysbiosis. Allergies, chronic food allergies, bad breath, gum disease, bloating, bad gas, brain fog, candida, yeast overgrowth, chronic unexplained fatigue. Are you starved for energy? Do you have no energy left? Do you just need something? Pounding Rockstars, energy drinks, Monsters, just fucking up the microbiome, creating more of the same problem? That's what you're doing by trying to get energy from these drinks. You're actually furthering the problem. So depression and anxiety. Listen, my friends, 95% of serotonin production happens in the gut, not the brain. Serotonin is what makes us happy. Serotonin is what creates us getting away from anxiety and depression. It is created in the gut. If your gut is not healthy, it cannot produce serotonin, therefore leading to things like depression and anxiety. Oh, here's a big one. Difficulty losing weight. We're going to get more into why this is when your microbiome is unbalanced, why you cannot lose weight. But difficulty losing weight is a huge one and a huge cause and symptom of dysbiosis. So frequent colds, flus, sinus infections, if you're always getting sick, chances are you have gut dysbiosis. Mucus in your stool, poor digestion, and even including acid reflux. So acid reflux disease is something that happens in the gut. I've had tons of people come to me with acid reflux because so many people have it. And you know what? We fix their gut and the acid reflux goes away. So constant stomach bugs, unexplained diarrhea, these are all symptoms of dysbiosis, okay? And we're gonna get into some of the causes and what we can do to overcome this crazy, crazy new disease that over 30 million Americans are affected with. So if you have dysbiosis, what are some of the things that you're being set up for later in life? What are some of the things that you get to look forward to if you do not fix this problem? Well, autoimmune disease, celiac disease, diabetes, IBD, which is inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut, MS, multiple sclerosis, obesity, sinusitis, so basically, sinus infections all the time, thyroid disease and yeast infections. Now remember, the thyroid condition actually stems from poor gut health. So you get dysbiosis, maybe your thyroid is working, but the longer that you deal with dysbiosis and not treating it, not taking care of it, your thyroid is just in poor condition, and you all know what happens when you have a thyroid condition. You're unable to drop the weight. So these are some of the things that can happen with dysbiosis. So how do you know if you have dysbiosis? Well, if you have 3 or 4 of these symptoms, or this sounds like you, chances are that you do. And like I said, 30 million Americans have it. So, the percentage that you have it is pretty dang good. So what causes dysbiosis? Well, there's a lot of things. And mostly it's the way that we live our lifestyles. Antibiotics, and overuse of antibiotics. I'm going to go into antibiotics for a minute. Listen, a 5-day stint of antibiotics can kill up to 1/3 of your microbiome. It can take up to 2 years to build that back. 5 days of antibiotics. So your microbiome, your gut flora, is this beautiful jungle, right? Birds, bees, plant life, everything. It's just gorgeous and you're just in paradise, right? And that's your microbiome. As soon as you ingest antibiotics, your microbiome is a desert wasteland. It is Syria. It is a nuclear holocaust. Kills the good and the bad bacteria. And ultimately, antibiotics are doing more harm than good. Question your doctors about antibiotics. It was something, and don't quote me on this, something like 30% of all antibiotics that are prescribed for viral infections as a precautionary tool, right? They don't even need them because the antibiotics kill bacteria, not infections. So why are they prescribing antibiotics for viral infections? It's just like, it just drives me nuts. So honestly, the only time I would ever take antibiotics is if my life was in jeopardy. There have been a couple times in my life where I have needed to take antibiotics and I have gone the natural route, taken antimicrobials such as oil of oregano, colloidal silver, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, things like that. So here we are. We have dysbiosis, right? Collect my train of thought here. We've talked about some of the things that happen when we have poor gut health, and what are some of the things that are caused from it. So we have antibiotics, antacids also, over-the-counter pain meds, right? Ibuprofen, aspirin, things like this. Birth control. Birth control is one of the most horrible things that you can do for your microbiome. So women, if you're on birth control, I understand that we use it and it's a really safe measure and precautionary to take, but I want you to consider the harm that you're doing in your body by taking this birth control. So most women that have been on birth control for several years have gut dysbiosis. So steroids, chemotherapy, artificial sweeteners ruin the microbiome. Too much sugar, right? So too much sugar causes dysbiosis, right? So if you've eaten a diet very high in processed food, very high in sugar, chances are that you do have gut dysbiosis. Not enough fiber, alcohol, stress, multiple infections can be a cause of dysbiosis. So here we have this crazy thing called gut dysbiosis. 30 million Americans are affected by it, and you may have it, and this may be not why you are not able to lose weight. So what do? What next? Well, I'm going to get into that for you guys. So we're going to get more into obesity and dysbiosis and how the two relate. Okay? So, and wow, we already covered that your microbes are responsible for converting sugar into fatty chains to use for energy, right? So what happens when that process doesn't go well, right? Well, we're converting the sugar into stored body fat, right? So when sugar-loving species so microbes, it's a very symbiotic relationship. We need microbes to survive, and we are the house of microbes. Microbes need us for survival. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and microbes' job is survival. Well, different microbes feed on different things. So if we get a colonization of a lot of the gut bacteria that craves sugar, you're going to get those sugar cravings, and it will start to crowd out the good bacteria that crave different foods, right? And so I know that you've been in a position where you think you're powerless over your eating, and why do I eat this stuff when I know it's bad for me and I just can't stop eating sugar? I've talked to person after person after person. Well, did it ever occur to you that you may not be the one making the decisions? Your gut bacteria is making the decisions, and their job is survival. So if it's a matter of life and death for them to get sugar, they are going to bug your system until they get the sugar. So you want the cravings to stop, we fix the gut dysbiosis. If you want the weight to come off, we fix the gut dysbiosis. This is why so many people are not losing weight on other programs, on other regimens, because people don't go this deep. They think, oh, well, eat clean and, exercise the right way, and hey, everything's gonna be good. See, I have taken all my research and all my knowledge and I have put it together to basically create this super course to where I can get anybody, the weight off anybody. I just had a guy lose 100 pounds in 90 days. Nobody is doing that. I've had several people lose 50 pounds of fat in 8 to 12 weeks. And the average result of TiFit clients is 30 pounds of fat in 8 to 12 weeks. That's remarkable. And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but nobody else is doing that. Not at that level, and not with the high success rate my clients are having. So gut bacteria are able to influence cravings based on releasing specific molecules from the brain. Right? And like hormones have a lot to do with the food that we eat, the hormones that we're secreting. So basically all you need to know is that, hey, your gut bacteria directly relates to the food that you crave and how you're able to break it down. So there's a war over the limited space in your digestive tract, right? And so the good and the bad microbes are constantly at war, constantly at battle. You know who's going to survive? The ones that you feed. So, gut health and obesity. We can actually distinguish leanness and obesity with a 90% accuracy just by a fecal sample. So if I had never seen you in my life, I could take a look at your gut bacteria, I could take a look at a stool sample, and I could tell with up to 90% accuracy whether you were obese or lean. That's 90%. If we can detect leanness and obesity up to 90%, isn't that enough evidence to prove this is why you haven't been dropping the pounds that you want to drop? It is to me. So also, microbes from obese people seem to be able to extract more calories from the same food. So we've already learned that calories in and calories out aren't all the same based on processed food versus whole food. They're independent, not dependent variables, okay? But also, if you have a poor microbiome, now what's happening in the microbiome of obese people is they are extracting more calories from the same food. So I'm lean, I could eat the same 120 calories, but they're gonna extract more of the calories and more is gonna get stored towards fat, and that's why they're gonna lose weight, or that's why they're gonna gain weight faster. So we're still not 100% sure what a lean microbiome looks like, but we have found, researchers have found basically species and families of bacteria that are associated more with leanness and more with obesity, and we're also learning what diets can cultivate these good species of bacteria. So our bacteria can control our food harvest in several different ways, okay? And a couple of those ways are, one, by controlling transit time. So actually controlling the amount of time as food passes through the GI tract. And that directly relates to how much of it you're able to absorb or not. So they also influence hormones that determine whether calories are deposited as fat or burned for energy. Okay? So again, they influence hormones that dictate in our body whether we're using this food for energy or storing it as fat, and hormones are the controllers of that, my friends. Microbes can also consume additional calories for bodily repair and other tasks in the body. So, like if you're injured, you're going to burn more calories, and your microbes are actually doing a lot of the work to repair that injury. Okay? So, really, really remarkable stuff. It is really, really, really remarkable stuff. And that is a lot of what I teach in my TIFIT course, okay? And it is truly, truly remarkable.